your breakup with your ex-partner Nathan Buckley, with a relationship like that and a breakup in the public eye, that it isn't just nothing, right? How have you processed that change and what has that chapter taught you about yourself?
My life completely changed. I lost all my autonomy and everyone knew everything about my life, even things that weren't even going on in my life. I think it's really important to understand that there's a person, there's a woman behind that label of a wag.
What was running through your mind in that moment when you hit the carpet, first Brownlow, you're kind of thrust into this world of cameras and lights and all the eyes are on you?
It's quite a shock to see how much of a big deal everyone makes, especially around the women and getting ready.
Was there any sacrifices that you had to make in terms of your career when it came to dating Nathan and stepping into the spotlight?
When my relationship ended, I was in a really good place with my career and getting back into work and finding my feet again and knowing that I was more than what I had been playing. I used to be a professional singer when I was younger.
What?
Yeah, I've always washed my face with soap.
Hand soap?
I know.
What?
I had changed schools 13 times by that stage. Work in a cafe at the age of 8. I decided that I would move out of home when I was 15.
That's insane.
That's a good question.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the pod. I hope you're all having a fabulous week. My guest today is Brodie Ryan, someone who's lived in the spotlight. She's experienced the glitz and glam of being a wag and is now choosing to slow down and reconnect with what really matters. We're going to chat about her early life in regional Victoria, building a career in women's health, navigating epilepsy, and reshaping her life after dating one of the greatest AFL players in Australia. Brodie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
We're so excited to have you here.
Very excited to be here.
You have lived a life that many people feel like they've seen, right? Through the headlines, Instagram or red carpets, but I think there's a whole story that came long before that people probably don't know. Who was Brodie as a kid growing up in regional Victoria?
She was an interesting kid, actually. She was very active. I played a lot of sport, basketball, netball. I loved my athletics, running, swimming. But I guess some things that people don't know about me here in Melbourne is I used to be a professional singer when I was younger.
What?
Yeah. So,
oh my goodness, really?
Yeah. My grandparents were big in Tamworth and I used to go to a lot of competitions when I was younger and used to win a few of those, which was fun. And then I ended up in Tamworth as well as a professional singer there and used to gig all around Victoria here in Melbourne.
What sort of songs or genre were you singing?
A little bit of country.
Oh, yeah, I know. Love a bit of country.
Yep. Taylor Swift with my girl back in the day.
Oh, my goodness. We love Taylor Swift in her country era.
Yeah, but a bit of everything. So I cut my first EP when I was 15.
Wow, really young.
Yeah, yep. And I had the opportunity to meet and do some gigs with like Jessica Malboy and in Tamworth. Yeah, so I had an interesting upbringing when I was really lucky that I was around a musical family and a really big family, a big Catholic family. I had hundreds of cousins. My mum was one of 13 and I'm the eldest of 9. Parents separated when I was 8, both remarried and had some other children. So I'm the eldest of 9. We all get along really, really well but are all very, very different. But yeah, I'm really grateful for my childhood. I moved around a lot. As my mum was a chef, my dad was a builder. When they remarried, my dad married a psychologist and my mum married a manager of mineral sand mines. So we were moving a lot as kids. By the time I got to year 7, I settled at Oyen Secondary College and that was one of the greatest colleges at the time. They're in the top 10 in Victoria. Got to year 7 and I had changed schools 13 times by that stage.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was. But I got kept down in year 2 because I had moved so much. But I found that a great growth opportunity for me. And then, I got to year 7 and I skipped all of year 8. I went back up to, I guess, where my peers were, that they were the same age as me. And I really enjoyed school.
Were you studious?
I was studious at home, not at school though. It was at home. I sort of like to escape my home life and I'd study at home or I'd be out with my friends playing sport, netball training, footy training on a Thursday night in the country. That's just the done thing. Sausage sizzle after netball training.
I love a sausage sizzle.
Yeah. And small country town, you walk to school and you walk home from footy training, netball training, work in a cafe at the age of 8. And I had a really interesting upbringing though, but my parents moved by the time I got to year 7, they were moving up near Sydney to Parks. And as I really wanted to stay put at my school where I was doing well, I decided that I would move out of home when I was 15. Yeah. And to hear that, it's pretty scary, but I was quite independent from a young age with my mum being a single mum. I guess I helped bring my brothers and sisters up for a little, I'd say a few years. So
how many siblings have you got?
Well, back then there was only 3 or 4, but then when it was time for my parents to move away, I decided to stay in Oyen and finish all of my high schooling in Oyen. And I guess because I had to grow up really quickly to support my mum, I worked 4 jobs at one time, putting myself through school. But yeah, it sounds like a scary upbringing, but I'm really grateful that I had that opportunity and support from my friends and my family. My friends were my family because I was obviously there in a small country town on my own. And yeah, I worked really hard, studied hard, and I wanted to study law or go and be a police officer. Thought about doing prosecutions in the police force. And then I applied and got knocked back because I was coming straight out of year 12. And yeah, I decided then I would go and join, not the fire brigade, but it was DSE at the time. So I was a firefighter on Black Saturday fires. That was an interesting week or 2 weeks. Pretty scary, but I think after those experiences, growing up, having to grow up quickly and also having all that work experience, a great work ethic was instilled in me very early, and also the independence that I carry in myself today. So yeah, like I said, I'm really grateful for my upbringing, and I feel that my parents did a good job with what they had. It wasn't a lot. We didn't have a lot of money growing up. So yeah, working hard and giving myself every opportunity to have a great life was something that meant a lot to me from a young age.
So a bit of a nomadic childhood, kind of moving about, a lot of change. How do you think all that change shaped who you are now?
Yeah, well, I guess I adapt really well. I love meeting new people, and you can throw me in a room with anyone, and by the end of it, I'll know everyone's last name, what their kids' names are, and I'm genuinely interested in their life journey. And I love hearing about people's journey and how they got to where they did. Yeah, so like I said, you can throw me in a room and I can adapt really well. I can move around. I don't want to move around anymore. I want the stability, and I want, like, Melbourne's home. Mm. And it took me a little while when I moved to Melbourne to find the place that it felt like home. And I believe that Elwood was my home for a long time because it's just such a beautiful community. Walking down Ormond Road, everyone knows each other. They know your coffee order. The guys at the supermarket know that if you haven't got your card on you, you just come back tomorrow and pay for it. Like, it's so good. It reminds me of the country. What did your teenage self think that your adulthood would look like? That's a good question. I thought I would end up in medical or I would end up in law. And like, when I say law, I loved a good debate when I was younger. Still love one now. But yeah, no, I didn't see myself ending up where I have been for the last 3 years. Life's been really interesting, and I'm really grateful for my upbringing, but I'm really grateful for the experiences that I've had in the 9 years that I've been here in Melbourne. I've met some incredible people, made some beautiful friends, and I'm really lucky that throughout that journey I've still maintained my friendships from high school. I've still got my best friends from high school. I'm still great friends with all of my old bosses from the country. I guess my childhood and the last 9 years of shaping me into the same positive person I've always been, just a little bit more enlightened around people, personalities, and I guess differences in personality as well. I read that you worked as a dental nurse back in Mildura. Tell us a little bit about that. Yeah, so after I did my stint as a seasonal firefighter, I decided that I just wanted to get, I guess, a trade behind me, just to have something to fall back in if all else failed. So I did my dental nursing, and then I also did some business on top of that as well with Bendigo TAFE. And I was working for Tankard Dental in Mildura. They're quite a big dental group now. They're all over Victoria. And they're great family friends of mine, and they gave me lots of opportunities to grow. They were a big establishment. That's a 14-chair dental practice that started. And now I think they've got like 10 different locations, which are 5 chairs each. So I did that for, I would have done that until probably maybe 5-6 years ago. Wow. Yeah, and I moved into practice management pretty quickly. and then stayed in dental but went into the business side of things with Cure Health, which is actually where I met Dee. So I would manage practices. When I say manage the practice, I would manage the business, and then I would have practice managers at all of the locations. So I guess with my role, I would oversee finances, recruitment, contracts, JV contracts, and business development as well, which the business development was the exciting part. And that's where Dee and I did some great work together.
So how long have you known Dee for then now? Long time.
Yeah. So that would have been pre-COVID, probably. What year was COVID again?
2019.
Feels like it was.
Oh God, everyone behind the camera saying different years.
We now tell
long time ago.
Yeah, we now tell the children and the grandchildren about back in the day when there was COVID. Yeah. No, so that would have been 2018 was it?
I think it was 19 or
19.
20.
Yeah. So I would have met Dee in 2000 and probably 18, 19, and that was with Cure Health, and he would come into the lab and bring all of his fancy patients in with a bit of a profile, and he would run them through, and I would say hello to them, introduce them and show them our lab, which was the biggest lab in Australia at the time. So we were very proud of our space and proud to be working with Dee as well. And Dee and I just built a great friendship then, had some great business ideas. And from that, we just stayed really good friends. He's been through his journey, I guess, with Vogue Dental, his personal journey as to where he's gotten now, and he's done so well, and we're all so proud of him. But yeah, it's really important to me to see my friends and just people around me doing really well with business and with life. And so, yeah, he brings a smile to my face.
He brings a smile to all our faces. When you were a dental nurse, were there any horror stories or crazy patients or anything that you can share with us?
Not really, but like I actually just had a clean done. And so I'm sitting here licking my teeth. I'm like, is this coming through the mic? I remember the patients that would miss the bowl when they're spitting out their fluoride or their water.
Gosh.
There's a couple of times that I copped but no big horror stories. I had some great patients that were long-standing patients.
Yes.
Tankard's is a bit of an institution back in Mildura. So, yeah, our patients were fantastic, and they'd been with the clinic for like 10 years or so. So, yeah, there was nothing crazy. I wish I did have a good story though.
We always have a laugh because obviously the team here see people every single day, day in, day out, and there's often people that come that quickly, aggressively try and brush their teeth before they come in, and the nurses can see that their gums are just swollen and very inflamed. So I thought maybe in your time you knew some, but a spraying with some mouthwash or something is pretty rough.
No, you get the patients that come in and they say, hey, when was the last time you flossed? And they're like, obviously yesterday when they flossed in the whole year.
No, they really didn't floss, did they? Talking about the move from Mildura to Melbourne, was there a moment when you knew that you wanted something more? Why really did you move from country life to the city?
Well, I guess from growing up, moving around a lot, I didn't shy away from moving around. I always knew that I wanted probably something more. At the time when I was living in Oyen and Mildura, I was actually married when I was 24. Lovely family, but we just weren't well fitted and didn't see eye to eye. So we went our separate ways, and I wanted to move to Melbourne, and we owned some farmland and also built some houses back there. My dad's a builder, so I come from a construction background. And I knew that I wanted to keep building, and I didn't want to just stop and just do, I guess, dental and practice management. I always wanted to be doing something extra. I've been always quite ambitious and always wanting to set goals and do well. And as I mentioned earlier, I didn't come from a wealthy background. My parents worked really hard and instilled that in me as well. So I was never the girl that wanted to sit at home and bake cookies and do the ironing. I love doing that stuff, and I love keeping a beautiful home, and I love looking after people. But my work and my career has always been really important to me. So the driver for me was, in a small country town, you're quite limited as to what you can do and how much you can grow. The work opportunities are just not there, and also the salaries aren't there. So when I had the opportunity to move to Melbourne, I'd been offered a role in Melbourne in dental. And I took it, and I packed up my stuff and took off, and I was on the road, and I moved out to country Melbourne, which is Greensborough.
Is that country Melbourne?
Yeah. Well, it was. There's lots of big trees out there. And I thought this will be an easy transition from the country to the country of Melbourne. I lasted all of 4 days, and I was in the city at South Yarra going for dinners and lunches, and I was like, this train ride is not. I'm spending too much time on the train. I need to just move into the city. So, moved into South Yarra, and I lived right on the train line. Back then, I was too afraid to drive in Melbourne. All of these hook turns and like split lanes. I know. Yeah, it's crazy. But, then I threw myself in the deep end and I started driving around Melbourne, and, I remember driving down St Kilda Road and the lane split, and I just lost my mind. And I thought, that's it. I'm going back to the train. Anyway, after a while, like of driving in the city, you're like, no, you can do this. And it's about just throwing yourself in and really immersing yourself in Melbourne life. So it's catching public transport, but it's learning to do a hook turn and not touch your phone while you're driving and sort of learn, I've got to turn here for Collins Street. Also coffee. I'd never been a coffee snob back in the country. It was Nescafe, but here in Melbourne, like coffee is an art, and we're so blessed to live in a city that really I guess we hold ourselves in great standards when it comes to coffee all over the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm a big coffee lover.
With a background in, healthcare and dental, you also were a business manager at Agora Specialist Centre. Talk to us, what did that role involve? Yeah,
well, I guess coming from Cure, where I was head of their business operations, and that was all across Australia, and we had a lab in China as well. So I was travelling a lot all over Australia, and then I guess taking some time after COVID, I actually took 10 months off over COVID. We made some decisions at work, and I made my role redundant. I'd actually been planning on travelling around the world for 25 weeks of the year.
Wow.
But the COVID was apparently pretty serious, so I couldn't get on a plane. And then I decided then I'd get back into going into an office, and I decided to go and work at the Epworth in Richmond, working in women's health at Agora Centre, which is a centre for women's health, predominantly gynecologists and obstetricians, but also we had a menopause specialist, Dr. Fatima Khan, and she was incredible. She was quiet at the time because I guess there wasn't a lot of marketing around, or just there wasn't conversations around menopause and perimenopause. There was a bit of a stigma around it, and I guess in the past 5 years that stigma has broken a lot. She's been fantastic with her PR and really pushing her knowledge out to the world, and she has a great following now. I remember working with her in building her book. I think she had about 6 patients booked in her book in a week, and spending time getting to know her and understanding menopause and perimenopause. And actually, like personally, I went through some tests as well, and we found perimenopause in my bloods. So doing some work there and having a good understanding as to what women go through with menopause and with perimenopause and how horrible it is, and especially being a woman that values her career and how impactful menopause is to women. It's horrible, but the stigma around it, as I was saying, no one talks about it, or they do now, but it's women like Fatima Khan that get in front of a crowd or get in front of a microphone and talk about just how prevalent menopause is and how hard it is for women coming back into the workforce or trying to step out of the workforce, trying to explain to an employer what a hot flush is, or like the weight gain to their husband, and seeing the work that she did and seeing the work that the gynecologist did working together in just changing women's lives. Some of their husbands would come into these appointments, and from day one, both of the husband and the wife walking out in tears because they felt understood, and then coming back a year later and the husband's still in tears saying, "You've given me my wife back." And to feel that we were really making a difference was pretty special. And in the end, making a difference to her business within the business, she was booked up 6 months in advance by the time I left. So that was pretty special to me, that I felt that I was a part of building that business with her. And to see what she's done now, she's gone out and started her own practice, and she's also just as busy as what she was, and she's flying all over the world teaching women about menopause and perimenopause.
I mean, how great for you as well to have played such an integral role in that and in shaping that, also the narrative too, as you said. It's changed so much over time, from women being embarrassed to speak up and also not knowing. It's that lack of education piece that changes in your body are happening and you can't put it down to what it is. And then having, women like yourself or specialists that they can go and see to get that help. I guess through everything that you did with Fatima, what's something that you've learned about what women really need in healthcare?
To be heard. And that's the thing. They will go to a general practitioner and they'll outline their symptoms. And there are so many women that are struggling with this, and some GPs just are not educated. So they'll prescribe an antidepressant rather than prescribing an antidepressant. They just don't know who to refer to. And that was a part of the space at the Epworth, is to educate GPs on how to do an IUD or how to insert an IUD, or when to refer for menopause or perimenopause, or when to refer for endometriosis. Because there just isn't that understanding in GP land, they try and fix it there. And it might take 12 months. And by the end of it, the woman is left feeling depleted and not understood and frustrated. And by 12 months, she is thinking that I've gone crazy. No one understands me. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. But to have women come in and then to see Dr. Alex and Fatima Khan change women's lives was pretty special.
Now, you've obviously done a lot of work in that space, helping other women and helping to transform their lives, but you've also been through your own bout of serious health challenges as well, your experience with seizures. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So back when I was in my dental days in Mildura, I went to work, had a normal morning. I think I gymmed that morning, had my breakfast, and I was probably half an hour into just a general filling, nothing crazy. And I passed out and landed on the patient and slid down, hit my head, and I had seizures. Apparently I was out for like 5 minutes and I had a few seizures. Was ambulanced off. My bosses were freaking out, thinking what's happened. She's hit her head on the way down. Maybe I've cracked something. They did some scans. They had me in a neck brace and they came in and took my neck brace off me and said, "You're all good? You haven't broken anything?" And I thought, thank gosh, all right, I can go home now. And they said, "But we need to send you to Melbourne for more scans. We've found a growth on your brain." And I just thought, well, it's obviously extra brain. not the case. So I came up to Melbourne, was referred to a neurosurgeon here in Melbourne, and they found that I had a growth on my brain. And over time, we scanned it every 6 to 12 months. It has grown a little bit, but it doesn't really impact on my life too much outside of I have some bad migraines, and they'll usually result in a seizure. So that might be 1 or 2 seizures. But we monitor it really closely. For a little bit there, they were worried that they had underdiagnosed and maybe I was having seizures due to epilepsy. We tested me for epilepsy. That was not the case. And so, yeah, we just monitored these. But I guess it's fine day to day until I do have a seizure, and then it's scary. It's not scary for me anymore, but it's scary for the people around me. And it's not something that I used to talk about because it didn't happen that often. It wasn't worth talking about. The only time I would tell someone was if I guess, was starting a new job. I would tell my employer. I would tell my close group of friends that were around me a lot. And maybe if I was spending a significant amount of time dating someone in particular. But outside of that, I kept it to myself. But once again, when we talk about the stigma around health and healthcare, we're also ashamed of health conditions that we have and that we don't want to burden anyone. But there's so many people out there that have health conditions that they just don't talk about because they don't want to worry anyone. But we're all in the same basket. I also have some gut issues that I work on daily.
So do I, girlfriend, don't worry.
Yeah. As a woman, I feel like it's a part of being a woman.
Absolutely,
Yeah. So I was lucky enough. Last year I had some terrible gut issues and was in hospital a lot with colitis. Then I decided I'd go over to Bali to Sukhavati, which is an Ayurvedic medicine retreat. And I was quite apprehensive because I love meat, I love a steak, and I didn't want to give that up. But for that whole week I ate vegan and it changed my life.
How did you feel?
Oh my gosh, incredible. And I was going in as a skeptic. And I saw the itinerary and I thought, no, I just want to lay by the pool. This is a holiday for me.
Yeah.
And I really jumped into it. I thought, well, I'm here for 5 days. I'm going to take full advantage of it. It's Luke Darcy's retreat, Luke and Beck Darcy, and they're massive advocates for health and wellness. And so I thought, you know what, bugger it. I'm just going to throw myself in here. I did all the treatments that you do every day. There's 3 treatments a day.
What are they?
to be honest, I can't pronounce them all. Look up Ayurvedic medicine and Ayurvedic practices and Ayurvedic massage therapies. A lot of oil. So a lot of coconut and sesame oil.
Consuming?
Not consuming it, but just being covered in it all the time. So you just smell like you've been in a fry pan. And
I love that.
I feel like it's at least 80% of the world's like coconut oil consumption is consumed in that retreat.
Wow.
Yeah, you're walking around oily all the time, but it's so good for your skin. It's so good for your digestion. A lot of ghee and all of these things I had not practiced before. So I went in there thinking I was just having a holiday, but I came out feeling like a new woman. And then I came back to Melbourne and I didn't stay vegan, but I moved to pescatarian, and it really helped with my gut issues.
Are you still pescatarian?
I'm not now, but I've introduced a little bit of meat just for iron levels.
That's the issue with girls, isn't it?
I know. We need our iron.
Iron. Yep.
That's the thing. And supplements are fantastic, but there's nothing like the real deal. So yeah, I guess everyone has their health issues, but it's just not being ashamed of them and working with healthcare or practitioners and just talking about it with friends, with family. And there's so many cases out there that they will hear a story and think, oh gosh, I've got something similar. And then they'll go and talk to their GP about it. And it might be something simple, or it might be something that's underlying that could really affect them later on in life.
Absolutely. And I think, to your point, even myself too, I know TikTok can be a space where there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation, but there's also a lot of good stuff on there too, where you've got women or even men speaking openly about health conditions or concerns. And it's true, it's happened to me before where I'm like, oh, my gut is reacting very similarly too. And then, you can take those steps. I think it is just more so about having a very open conversation rather than feeling embarrassed or ashamed. Because at the end of the day, we're all human.
Yeah.
And everyone's probably going through something similar.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, I want to address the elephant in the room because it's been in the headlines recently, your breakup with your ex-partner, Nathan Buckley. Now, I know that you've chosen not to go into detail publicly, and we totally respect that. But I also know that with a relationship like that and a breakup in the public eye, that it isn't just nothing, right? So I guess my question to you is more so around how have you processed that change and what has that chapter taught you about yourself?
Yeah. Well, I guess Nathan and I met 4 years ago, Sorrento pub on New Year's Day. And I guess the stigma that follows footballers or previous coaches, like a country girl, I didn't want to get mixed up in any of that. And I pigeonholed him as something that maybe he wasn't, maybe he was. But he tried very hard to get my attention that day, and he hunted me down, and I didn't give him the time of day for a start, but then I stopped and had a conversation with him, and he was a really kind person. We had a lot in common and chatted for a good hour, and then we remained friends. So we didn't pass anything but friends that day. We remained friends for a year, and then when we were both single, we went out on a date. He was lovely. He had a lot going on at the time with his previous relationship, and he obviously had transitioned out of coaching at the time. So yeah, there was a lot going on in his life. There wasn't anything going on in mine, and I lived a very stable life. I was really happy. My career was really important to me, and I loved my job. I loved my social circle that I was in. So it was a big transition to go from the life that I had to the life that I have lived over the past 3 years. So it was really important to me to keep our relationship under wraps, and I managed to do that for 6 months of us seeing each other. I didn't want anything to do with the media. I wanted no publicity. We still went out to dates and we didn't hide. But when he would ask me to come to an event, I would decline because I didn't want to lose my autonomy, and I also didn't want it to impact my career either. I also know the stigma that follows, I guess, a younger woman seeing a guy that is 17 years older. I also was conscious that he had 2 children, and family is really important to me, and those children were really important to me, even though at the time I didn't know them. It really meant a lot to me for him to be safe and for me to feel safe in that environment as well. So yeah, it took me 6 months for me to let my guard down and let him in and me be a part of his life and everything that comes with his life. And then my life completely changed. I lost all my autonomy, and everyone knew everything about my life, even things that weren't even going on in my life, the things that were made up. And I guess I approached it with an open mind, and maybe I was a little naive, I like to see the best in everyone, and I just think that everyone's got a heart of gold. And then sometimes that has worked out negatively for me. But I still hold out hope that everyone has something good in them. But yeah, it's been it was a very big adjustment to work with the media.
When you say you lost autonomy, is that what you're referring to? Yeah,
lost autonomy. So you couldn't go to an opening night of something or go to an event, which I guess if you compare it to the country, it's like going to the black tie ball at the footy club. Just to do that here in Melbourne, but there's a big red carpet and there's lots of cameras everywhere, which is the Brownlow. And the dresses are a little bit more fancy. But to go and do something like that, I guess you see that and you compare it to something in the country. And I sort of looked at it like it was the same thing. I was going and supporting my partner because he was a Brownlow medalist and he was working and doing things at that event. And so adjusting to the fancy events and things like that. My first Brownlow was crazy. It's quite a shock to see how much of a big deal everyone makes, especially around the women and getting ready.
What did you wear for your first Brownlow?
Beautiful green dress. It was made by Sean Rantero. I was so lucky to work with him. He's a good friend of mine. But my stylist, Bianca Rose, set that up. And I remember sitting on the couch and we were watching the Met Gala on TV, and the three of us were just sending each other pictures back and forth of like different ideas. And then we sat down together and just drew up this dress, and his sketch was exactly what I had envisioned.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the green was stunning. He went out and did his material search and sent us all these pictures. And like I never made a dress or been a part of a team that was going to put a dress together. I remember my Deb Ball and going Deb Ball dress shopping. Mm-hmm. That was a fun experience, but to build something from scratch and to see how a designer goes about it and how it all comes to fruition was pretty spectacular. But then the whole team that puts you together that day, it's like it's an early start. But
Talk us through it because I am just curious. Tell me about it from the early morning.
Yeah.
What happens?
Well, I'm a very laid back person. So I woke up, I went for a cold dip at Elwood Beach that morning. I was very, very chilled. And I rolled into Sean's place and my dress had actually not been finished, and the Brownlow was
still finishing it.
Yeah, that same day.
I would have been so panicked.
I was thinking like, is this normal? Like, I feel like this should have been finished last week.
Yeah.
And I'm a very organised person, so I like to have things laid out and that wasn't the case that morning. But everyone else, I had a team that put it all together for me. So I just pretty much had to rock up and I'm also a doer. So to let someone else take the reins and say, okay, you just need to turn up and then we just put you in the dress and away you go. So I went to Sean's that morning and he was just finalising some buttons and making sure we're all fitting. And then I went straight from there to Crown, and Sean was going to bring my dress, and I checked into Crown. My stylist met me there and she had a whole team. And then they came, I got my makeup done. Ashley Evans did my makeup and it was incredible. She's an amazing artist, quite a magician actually. And then I had my hair done, and I guess the vision that the stylist has, you sort of just go with it and you just trust them. And she's never done me dirty. Like I've always scrubbed up okay when it comes to red carpets. But yeah, I don't really have too much of an input. They just know what's going to look good and how my makeup should look. And I've been quite lucky that the team that I've worked with, I've really connected with as well. And I've maintained really good friendships with them.
And they dress you for a lot of events.
Yeah. So Bianca, she's really well connected with a lot of designers around Melbourne or Australia, and she's got her own little teams of hairdressers and makeup artists and even photographers. So yeah, I turned up for the day, had a glass of champagne, but then seeing everyone else buzzing around and all the beautiful girls, the wives of the football players, and everyone's so lovely.
What was running through your mind in that moment when you hit the carpet, first Brownlow, you're kind of thrust into this world of cameras and lights and all the eyes are on you? What was going through your mind?
Well, to be honest, I remember going down the lift and I was thinking, I hope Nath's okay. I hope he's not stressed, and I know that he had his tux all organised for the day, and there wasn't much to putting him together.
It's always like that for boys. Yeah. A little bit of gel in the hair, put the tux on,
and away we go. Yeah, but I was worried because he had a little bit of work commitment that he had to do on the carpet as well. So yeah, I wasn't really that stressed about me or what I needed to do. It was more supporting him and making sure that he was comfortable, and that was sort of going to be our first football outing, our first public football outing. that was a big deal. So, yeah, I was just more worried about making him feel comfortable. And, yeah, he could do his job and he didn't need to worry about me. As I said, I'm a pretty laid-back person, so I wasn't really stressed. But to get down on the red carpet and see how much of a fuss it is for everyone, it was, yeah, it's quite incredible. And everyone looks so beautiful and so much effort goes into it. And like I said, all the girls are so lovely and everyone is so complimentary of each other, which is really beautiful to see women building each other up rather than what you might see online on people like pulling people down and saying nasty things. It's not like that when you're with, I guess, the other wags, they would call it. But they don't see that. No one sees each other as a wag. You are a wife or a girlfriend, and you are supporting your partner. And what they do is tough for a job. So you need that support at home. And I guess a lot of the, would say, trolls out there will say they're just a wag. They're not just a wag. They work really hard at home and they look after a home, which is hard. Sometimes I would say, seeing my mum do it, seeing my friends do it, being a stay-at-home mum and keeping a home and supporting an AFL footballer would be harder than being a CEO of a company.
That is a job within itself.
Absolutely. Yeah, even if your husband is not an AFL footballer and he's a tradie.
Yep.
It's a tough job and women have it tough. It's not easy at home. So I really take my hat off to women out there that do have the hard slog at being at home, keeping a nice house, looking after their husbands and keeping their day as smooth as you can while keeping the mayhem of home at bay and looking after yourself and your mental health, well-being, and keeping yourself in good nick as well. It takes a lot. So, yeah, seeing these women do it and then get on a red carpet and smile like it's been an easy year for them, I really take my hat off to them. And they all do their little thing as well in their respective fields. And sometimes you don't hear about that and you don't see that because it might be overshadowed by what their husband does. So, yeah, I think it's really important to understand that there's a woman behind that label of a wag. And, yeah, they're beautiful women. They've got beautiful souls and they work hard. And it's not easy being, I guess, labelled what you are and feeling, I guess, small in comparison to your partner.
And you are a true testament of that. And you said obviously how incredibly hardworking you are and career-driven. Was there any sacrifices that you had to make in terms of your career when it came to dating Nathan and stepping into the spotlight?
Yeah.
And fulfilling that role of being his partner, and how did you try and balance what you wanted with his life? Yeah.
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I had a very simple life. It's been me for 9 years. I've looked after myself longer than 9 years, but here in Melbourne, I'm fine on my own. But he was going through a lot at the time and he needed support and he needed probably some room to grow and to grieve what he'd lost in his previous relationship. And it was his life for those 16 years. And so I probably made a lot of sacrifices within myself to be a support for someone else. The trajectory of my career changed because I had some responsibilities because he had a lot going on.
So did you stop working?
I didn't stop working, but I cut back a day. So I went from a business manager in a big hospital to cutting back and taking the same role, but just cutting back on a little bit of my responsibility. And for work to not be my sole focus was very strange for me. And to have a few other commitments, attending some events with him, which was a decision that I made to go and support him and to be a part of that life as well. So I guess I didn't sacrifice my career to go to an event. I sacrificed my career trajectory to be available to him and to be able to be a part of his life. But yeah, then I think it was about 12 months ago, decided at the end of my last 12-month contract, I decided that I would take 6 months off because we had a lot of social events or commitments on the calendar, but also we wanted to do some travelling. So I took 6 months off work and we caravanned around New South Wales up the coast, and that was fantastic to take that time after Sukhavati, working on my health, my mental health, and just taking a little bit of a breather from work. But working all my life, it was so strange to not work full time, and I didn't cope well with it. I needed that purpose. I've always been very driven with my career, and to not have something to wake up and do outside of making Nathan and the children lasagna that day or doing the housework, going for a run, going for a walk down the beach. I needed more, and I've always needed more, like I was saying, from coming from the country and then wanting more, so I moved to the city. I needed more than just to stay at home, and I needed my goals, and I needed that drive in my life. So I felt a little bit lost in those 6 months, and Nath probably felt that in me as well. So when I went back to work and then I found my happy place again, I had my purpose. People needed me at work, and I made important decisions again. So yeah, it was, I guess at the time when my relationship ended, I was in a really good place with my career and getting back into work and finding my feet again and knowing that I was more than what I had been playing for those 6 to 12 months before we separated. And then finding my happiness again. And that's where I'm at now. It's a stress-free life that I'm living at the moment. I'm getting in touch with myself again, spending more time doing the things I love. A lot of gym now, a lot of socializing with my friends. I spend a lot more time at work. There's probably a lot to do at work at the moment. But yeah, I'm taking the opportunity, which I didn't before, to do a bit more around events, a bit more with social media, this podcast, for example. But yeah, I'm a little bit more open to it now than what I was, because my life with Nath was quite private. But yeah, I know now that I can still have my private life and keep that separate, and still have my career, and then still have the fun of doing things like this.
Do you feel like your past relationship helped you learn something important about, what you need in a partner or in life?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, I think I lost myself a little bit in what someone else needed in me, or what I thought they needed in me, because of what they were going through at the time. And I understand, I guess, in myself that being selfless all the time is not the answer, because you set a precedent for someone else to treat you that way. So I think it's really important for give and take in a relationship, and to be really clear with boundaries. I would say that trust, honour and loyalty, respect is really important to me in a relationship. And I would hope that in the future maybe I find someone that also shares those values and holds them in high esteem like I do. But yeah, he's a great person, and I really wish him all the best. It just didn't work out.
Obviously, this is a new chapter for you. This is about you, right? Not about anyone else.
Yeah.
Focusing on your own mental health, doing what makes you happy, slowing down, putting your time into things that really matter to you. What are some of those little things that bring you joy at the moment? Work aside, what are those things? I'm spending more time with my friends, which I haven't done in a long time. I remember some friends writing me a message probably maybe 6 months ago saying we missed that girl that we met down the beach 2 years ago, that happy, just carefree, outgoing, because I had to be a little bit more protective of my private life and who I let in and who was coming in for the right reasons and who was genuine with their friendship. I'm really lucky that I'd met some amazing people along the way. But I think what I'm doing now in reconnecting with those people that I've met for the right reasons, and also opening the door to meeting new people and knowing that they're here to meet me, no one else. And yeah, I'm just having fun. I'm having so much fun getting up and doing my walks in the morning, going to the gym, eating well, eating what I want to eat. It's not a lot of lasagnas anymore. But yeah, no, going out for dinners and just, yeah, I'm loving sleeping through the night. I just have no worries. Your mind is free.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're finally coming back to yourself?
Yes. Yeah. And I'm super excited about it. I'm super excited about what the future holds.
Well, we can't wait to see everything you get up to, so watch this space. Brodie, we have a closing tradition on the podcast where every guest has to do a round of rapid-fire Q&A questions. Are you ready? Question number 1. What is one go-to beauty product that you can't live without?
Toothpaste.
That is a great one.
No, I don't know if
such a dental nurse.
I don't know if it's a beauty product, but I would say, to be honest, and like a lot of beauticians out there and skin specialists will not agree with me, but I've always washed my face with soap.
Hand soap?
I know. What? And so I used to have really bad acne as a kid, and I went on Roaccutane and just really struggled. And then I continued to wash my face with soap to keep the pimples or the oil levels down. And I know that that's counterproductive, but I've always used soap. So I've had 2 facials in my whole life, and they've said to me, what is your secret? You're obviously you have a very regimented.
Is beautiful.
Thank you. They've said to me, you've got obviously a really regimented regime. And I said, yeah, it's Dove body wash. So I would say my beauty secret is Dove body wash on my face. But then, a good retinol now. I like anything over 30, just chuck some retinol on it and hope for the best.
Question number 2, what is always in your handbag?
A phone charger. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my job, I'm on the road every day. I work from home every day and I'm on the phone all the time. Mm-hmm. So, having a portable phone charger in my bag is really important. Other than that, a Nivea chapstick or Nivea lip gloss.
Country life or city life?
City life, yes. I love going back to the country just to do some skiing or go fishing, but city life, chuck some heels on me and give me a coffee.
What's the first thing you do when you get home?
Probably just sit on my bed and just recap for the day, make sure that I've closed what I needed to off, just take a deep breath. I try and do, probably in the last 3 months, I try and do about 10 minutes of meditation in the evening. If I have time for a walk, I always love a walk, but sometimes I don't get home from work until 7 o'clock and it's dark and cold.
It's bad in winter now too.
Yeah.
If you could swap wardrobes with any celeb, who would it be? Because you're a bit of a style icon yourself, so
I do love a bit of fashion. Oh, gee, that's such a good question. I'm going to say a Kardashian. Let's say, is it Kendall, the tall one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Kendall Kardashian. I think she's beautiful and
very effortless.
Yeah, very effortless.
Boho chic.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like she can do anything.
Love language, giving or receiving?
It's interesting. I've been a giver all of my life, whether it's acts of service or gifts, but I think that might have changed a little bit maybe in the last 3 months. Like I think I'm ready to receive love.
Open your heart.
Yeah, yeah.
What is the first designer piece you ever bought?
Oh, well, I took myself on a little last-minute solo trip to Hong Kong in August last year. Things weren't going great with my relationship at the time, so I jumped on a plane and I got upgraded to business. I got over there and I thought, stuff it. I'm going to buy myself a few nice things. And I went into YSL and bought myself a dress, went into Gucci, bought myself a dress, some new lubes and some Tom Ford perfume and flew home a week later after the locals were telling me, are you staying for the typhoon? I know, see you later. I'll be out of here.
Head out with your items.
Yeah.
What are your carry-on essentials for a long flight?
My AirPods. Yeah. I love turning my AirPods on and maybe some like Bose headphones over the top so I can get some sleep.
Good noise cancelling headphones.
I love getting on a flight. You're forced to sit there and do nothing. It's like getting into the hairdressing salon and you're forced to like read a magazine or like doom scroll.
Yep.
So getting on a flight and just switching off. I just love having some noise cancelling headphones.
What is your favourite restaurant in Melbourne?
Oh, gosh. That is the toughest question to ask
me.
It
is a tough question.
I'm a massive foodie, so I actually went through my list last night and I'm heading to Flower Drum on Saturday.
Love Flower Drum.
And I've never been. I'm very excited. But I think my favourite restaurant's Lucy Lou's. And I think because that was one of the OGs when I first moved to Melbourne, that was one that I went to and it was so loud, it was busy. The food
very
was
buzzy
just,
in there.
Yeah, like some cute cocktails and just the food, the sharing aspect. It's really social and you don't get that in the country. Yeah, so I'd say Lucy Lou's.
And the final question, what is your daily mantra or affirmation?
Give 100% of what you've got in the tank that day. So you might be going through it. You might be having a shit run at home. You might not feel your best. If you've only got 60% in the tank, give 100% of that 60.
Yeah.
And if you can do your best, then do your best. But you can't expect much more from yourself apart from the best. Love that advice. Brodie, thank you so much for joining us on the pod today. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for being so honest and raw and for coming today amidst, media frenzy and everything. We loved having you, so thank you. Thank you so much. Episodes will be released every Thursday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Smile the Makeover Scoop. As always, please send in any questions you have, dilemmas, guests you want to see on the show. You can email us to hello@smilethemakeoverscoop.com.
Next week, I'll be joined by Matt Pagliaro, the founder of Zenith Rewards. He runs Australia's first home renovation giveaway company created to help everyday Aussies achieve their dream home makeovers without the massive price tag. You won't want to miss this episode. See you guys next week. This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice. Please consult with a professional for specific advice tailored to your situation.